What if the walls around you could whisper your deepest fears? What if the place you called home became the stage of your nightmares? Tonight, we step inside one such place, where shadows remember, where silence breathes, and where every creak carries a story untold. This is not just a story about ghosts, but about the pieces of ourselves we bury in the dark. It's about pain, about courage, about hope. Because sometimes, the most haunted place is not a house, it's the heart. And sometimes, the only way out of that haunting is through it. There's something hauntingly beautiful about old, abandoned houses. They stand at the edge of towns and forests, wearing the weight of years like a shroud. Their windows are eyes that have seen too much. Their doors, mouths that have swallowed laughter and screams alike. Inside, the air feels thick as though time itself lingers, unwilling to move on. But if you listen closely, there's more than fear there. There are lessons. Because fear, when faced, becomes a teacher. The walls, when touched with compassion, reveal truth. And darkness, when met with courage, becomes a mirror showing who we truly are. Once, there was a woman named Clara. After losing both her parents in a car accident, she inherited a lonely Victorian house on the outskirts of her hometown. It had belonged to her great-grandmother, a woman she had never met. The house stood tall and weary, its exterior swallowed by vines, its windows half covered in dust. But Clara needed a new beginning, and she told herself that a fresh coat of paint could cover even the oldest of scars. She was wrong. The first night, the house didn't sleep. She heard footsteps in the hallway, slow, deliberate, measured. She turned the lights on, but the moment she did, the sound stopped. The air turned still. Only when she sat back down did the floor creak again, like a sigh too heavy to hold. The next day, she tried to laugh it off. Houses make noises, she told herself. Old wood groans. Pipes moan. Imagination fills the silence. But that night, the whispers began. Faint, almost melodic, coming from behind the walls. A child's voice, soft, trembling. Clara wanted to leave, but something inside her said stay. She began exploring the house room by room, touching the walls, listening, searching for where the whispers came from. In one corner of her bedroom, she noticed a loose floorboard. Beneath it was an old, dust-covered diary. The cover had faded, but the name written inside was still clear: Amelia. The entries were those of a young girl. At first, they were filled with childish scribbles about dolls, rain, and her mother's garden. But as the pages went on, the tone changed. It's been 3 days. Mama hasn't come back. Another page read, the rain won't stop. I hear thunder every night. I wait at the window, but no one comes. The final entry was just 2 words. Please remember. Clara closed the diary, her hands trembling. The air around her grew colder. That night, the whispers returned. Louder, now pleading, weeping, calling a name that wasn't hers. She lit a candle, sat in the center of the room, and whispered into the dark, "You're not forgotten, Amelia." The moment she said it, the candle flickered violently. A wind swept through the room, even though the windows were closed. And then, silence, stillness. For the first time since she arrived, the house exhaled. She wept not from fear, but from something deeper. Compassion, realization. The haunting wasn't about vengeance. It was about remembrance. Amelia wasn't trying to scare her. She just wanted to be seen, to be acknowledged, to be loved. Fear had led Clara to understanding. It had forced her to face something bigger than herself, to listen instead of run, to see through the eyes of something she once called a ghost. And in doing so, she found a piece of her own grief healing. Because fear is not our enemy. It's a messenger, disguised as darkness, guiding us toward the light we've forgotten exists. We all carry haunted houses within whose memories we've boarded up, regrets we keep locked away, pain we pretend isn't there. But the truth is, those ghosts don't disappear because we ignore them. They whisper louder, waiting for us to listen. And when we finally do, when we face what's been haunting us, we find that what once terrified us was only trying to teach us where we hurt and how to heal. There's a story from an old Scottish village about a crumbling stone house, where, on certain nights, people hear the faint sound of a violin. The melody is mournful, looping endlessly under the moonlight. The villagers say it belongs to a musician who lived there centuries ago, a man who quarreled with his brother and died mid-song before ever reconciling. Some say his ghost still plays, hoping one day his brother will forgive him. What's strange though, is that each time someone in the village chooses to forgive someone from their past, the violin grows quieter, as if each act of forgiveness sets his soul free, note by note. The lesson is clear: the past doesn't die, it waits. It waits for us to find closure, to make peace with what's unresolved. Every haunting begins where forgiveness ends. And there's another story, from Japan, about an old woman who lived alone after her husband's death. Neighbors would see her through the window every night, talking to someone who wasn't there. They thought she'd gone mad with grief. When she finally passed away, her diary was found. She had written, "He visits me every night. We talk about the garden. He says he can tea leave until I smile again." The haunting, they realized, was not of ghosts, but of love that refused to let go. Loneliness, when left unchecked, can create shadows of its own. But love pure, patient love can calm even the most restless spirits. Fear can twist us. Isolation can make monsters of our own thoughts. But connection, kindness has the power to turn even the coldest nights warm. Every spirit, every haunted place, every memory cries for the same thing: acknowledgement. To be seen, forgiven, and set free. There's an old farmhouse in New England, where people once reported voices rising from the cellar. They claimed that dead spoke beneath the floor. But when researchers investigated, they discovered something remarkable. The voices were echoes of soldiers who once hid there during the war. Their cries of fear and prayer captured somehow within the stone. The walls themselves held the trauma of those who sought refuge within them. Darkness doesn't always mean evil. Sometimes it's just pain replaying itself until someone listens. You see, we often fear what we don't understand. But the truth is, the shadows we run from are really out to harm us. They're begging to be understood. The ghosts of memory, the remnants of pain, the echoes of love, we all carry them. Every haunted place, every cold breeze, every flicker of movement in the dark is a reminder that energy never dies. It transforms. What once terrified us can become our greatest teacher if we only allow ourselves to see it differently. There is a legend from Romania of a castle said to be cursed. Visitors claimed to see apparitions and feel an overwhelming sense of dread. Yet one traveler, a humble priest, walked through its halls and felt nothing but peace. When asked why, he said, "Perhaps the house gives back what it is given." The spirits reflected his compassion. Maybe that's true for all of us. Maybe the world mirrors what we hold inside. The more love we carry, the less darkness we see. There's a nurse's story from a hospice ward that gives me chills, but not out of fear, out of wonder. She said that after each patient passed, she would see a faint shadow move down the hall, pausing for just a moment, then dissolving like mist. She began to pray each time it happened, whispering a blessing for safe passage, and each time the shadow faded more peacefully. She stopped fearing death that day, because she realized that death isn't an end, it's a change of form. The same energy that fuels life doesn't vanish. It moves on into something unseen, but still connected. Love, too, moves that way. And sometimes the haunting doesn't come from places at all. Sometimes it comes from within us. There was a man in Texas who believed his home was cursed. Lights flickered, doors slammed, whispers echoed his name. He brought in priests, psychics, and paranormal investigators. But nothing stopped it. Finally, one day, during a house blessing, he broke down and confessed a secret he had carried for years. He had betrayed a friend long ago and never sought forgiveness. When he spoke it aloud, the house grew quiet, completely still. The haunting had never been in the walls. It had been in his heart. We all have our ghosts, guilt, shame, regret, and sometimes they won't stop until we confront them. When we cleanse our hearts, the world around us becomes still. In a small cabin in Vermont, during a snowstorm, a family once found themselves trapped without power. Lightning had struck their roof, and the cold seeped through the cracks. The parents and their 2 children huddled together in the dark, their only source of light a single candle. Through the night, the storm raged. But that one flame never went out. Even when the wind howled through broken windows, even when it should have died, it kept burning. When rescuers found them in the morning, There was no wax residue where the candle had been, just warmth. Maybe it was faith, maybe it was something divine. But the message was clear: hope burns brighter than fear. Even the smallest light can outlast the longest night. Maybe haunted houses aren't about spirits at all. Maybe they're about how we live, how we love, how we hold on, and how we let go. Every door that slams is a memory, asking to be noticed. Every chill down your spine is a reminder that something in you is still alive enough to feel. Fear isn't here to destroy you. It's here to awaken you. If tonight's story stirred something within you, let it be this: you are stronger than the things that haunt you. The ghosts of your past don't define you. The darkness around you doesn't own you. Every whisper, every shadow, every sleepless night is only there to remind you there is still light in you worth fighting for. And so, wherever you are tonight, as you sit in silence and the world around you grows still, close your eyes for a moment. Breathe. Feel your heartbeat. That rhythm that pulses proof that no matter how haunted the world feels, you are alive. You are capable of turning fear into faith, pain into power, and darkness into dawn. May every haunted room in your heart be filled with peace. May every ghost of regret find rest. And may the light within you, no matter how small it flickers, always guide you home.